Robin Hood Radio presents Stage Right or Not with Michele Willens. Michele is a longtime journalist and herself is a published playwright of several theatrical works. She's a frequent contributor to the Huffington Post, Daily Beast, and the Atlantic websites.
Another opening of another show.
Well, the race is on. Which Broadway show opens first and how? Well, a trio of juggernauts, Hamilton, The Lion King, and Wicked, chose the initial restart date, September 14th. Many followed. And then they were outmaneuvered by Hadestown, which chose September 2nd. Well, now a new one called Passover has the earliest performance date announced thus far. It will be starting previews throughout August at appropriately the August Wilson Theater. The Passover producers hope to perform to full capacity audiences and will consult health authorities and labor unions about protocols. This being a piece about racial issues, the producers promise to make the play accessible and presumably more affordable to new audiences. And other shows keep getting added to the list. Company, Stephen Sondheim's musical ode to relationship commitment, or lack thereof, returns this winter along with stars Katrina Link, Patti LuPone, and director Marion Elliott. They all did it in England. This gender-swapped version will resume on December 20th. Check out the Today Tix, T-I-X site. Moving outside now to the much-anticipated return of Shakespeare in the Park, the intermission-free adaptation of Shakespeare's Harlem-flavored The Merry Wives of Windsor. Well, it's now called Merry Wives, I think, but that's coming, and there will be social distancing, masks required, and visitors will need proof of vaccination or a negative test to get in or out. But the good news, there will be more performances. The show will run 3 weeks longer than originally scheduled, through September 18th rather than August 28th. You can check the Public Theater for updates on that. And while on the subject of the Bard and Harlem, by the way, director Kent Gash's 2014 production of The Comedy of Errors was a favorite when it debuted at the Oregon Shakespeare Festival in 2014. Well, in this reimagining, characters journey to the big city in search of their lost family and straight into the heart of, the Harlem Renaissance. That one is streaming now through June 26th, just $15 through the OSF site. Or you can take in some Lincoln Center offerings, starting with Mary's Sequel, Seacole, which comes from Jackie Sibley's Drury. She was a Pulitzer Prize-winning author of Fairview. It's a story of an ambitious Jamaican nurse and caregiver whose adventures take her across oceans and eras, ending in a contemporary urban playground. This was a well-received production at Lincoln Center's smallest venue a few seasons back. And on Lincoln Center's outside illumination lawn, you can find flocks of furry sheep. Well, the puppet variety. There's no real plot to the performance per se, but this comes from the mind and work of puppeteer Basil Twist. Just a little herd of sheep on the hill, for the sweetness of it, Twist says. I spent time with that puppeteer at the American Academy of Rome a few years back. I will never forget the creepy but ingenious little show he put together there. Or you could get dressed up and virtually attend Manhattan Theater Club's Spring Gala, though it's not spring anymore. Well, maybe it is officially. I Heart MTC premieres on June 10th this week at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And you will join some well-known New Yorkers like Louis Black, Blair Brown, David Cromer, Fiona Davis, Edie Falco, J.C. Tyler Ferguson, Nathan Lane, and more. There's limited streaming of that, which will be available through June 14th. Now, that's via MTC site. And we have some good conversations coming this week. Tonight, June 7th at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, the Cape Cod Theater Project welcomes Tony nominees and Cape Cod alums Heidi Schreck, Bess Wohl, Lee Silverman, and Kip Fagan. They'll be discussing their successes, the development of their plays, and their newest works. That'll be live streamed on CCTP's Facebook page, and I assume it will remain there a while. And it's time for the next episode of Offstage, the New York Times digital series about theater making or not during the pandemic. This time we can hear from Lin-Manuel Miranda. Well, it's been less than 24 hours since we've done that. at the Drama Bookshop, which he now co-owns, discussing his store in his new movie version of In the Heights, Hamilton, Race, and Recovery. We will also hear more about the aforementioned return of Shakespeare in the Park, and we'll get a preview of that show, now simply called Merry Wives, by the way, performed outdoors at the Delacorte Theater. That's this Thursday, off stage from the New York Times site. Well, who knows what has defined theater in the last 15 months? This week alone, we have Puppet Sheep, an interactive adventure from the Geffen Stayhouse in Los Angeles. And we have an immersive game in which participants choose which Chekhov play they want to see. That's one with Mikhail Baryshnikov and his daughter. They're both involved in that. It's called Chekhov OS, an experimental game. And it's up through June 24th. You can find it through zerogravity.art. Finally, my favorite viewing of the last week was one that I promoted last week, and perhaps others watched as well. It's called We Have to Hurry. It's a lovely two-hander of, shall we say, senior citizens who speak to each other via a balcony apart in Florida, which is called One Big Finishing School here. Alfred Molina and Dorothy Lyman are wonderful, with musings like, "What a god-awful world we're leaving you," she says to her great-grandchild. "We have to hurry and make a human connection," he says. "Well, I want to read all the chapters of your life, of your history," he says. "Yes, this is a quarantine love story, and let's hope Broadway On Demand will offer repeat viewings." Anyway, Jill, our imaginations have been stretched, but I, for one, am ready for the real thing.
And I am curious. I can't imagine that you are alone in being ready for the real thing. My only question at this moment is, should it emerge as it is now beginning to trickle out, should the trickle become a flood that, many of these COVID
all the restrictions and
were whatever, she said, trying to be diplomatic. Do you think that theaters will hasten to adjust?
Oh, yes. Oh, I think they are doing that from everybody I hear. By the way, last week we talked a little bit, and you asked me to see if I can explore a little bit about The Music Man, which is arguably the most anticipated new old show coming. The last I heard was that they are planning to start rehearsals or previews, I think, at the end of the year in December for a 2022 official opening. The one caveat, or the one change, was that the controversial producer, Scott Rudin's name, is taken off of it. So I think that was the deal that was made with star Hugh Jackman and others, that they didn't want to be in anything that had Rudin's name on it, even though his money likely made it happen. So that's true on that one. But all the theaters apparently are working hard to get on the new rules and restrictions. And I don't know, by September, it's very possible that just coming in with a vaccination passport or whatever they're calling them will be enough, that you won't have to wear a mask. That's kind of the big hope.
Okay, and if it turns out the vaccination passports are either illegal or unnecessary, they will dump that as well, correct?
Yeah, things are happening fast. England is, a lot of people are looking at England because they've done a lot of this and they've started. The other hand, they're having a little bit of an upsurge now on the virus, cases again. So everybody's watching that closely. Whether that'll lock down again, I pray not. But there is a little bit of there is some attention looking at England now. Then let's just hope we stay safe. And your beautiful neighborhood is certainly doing its good work.
Well, right, and if you trace the cycle, if you will, of the virus, because we lived through a year of it last year, and we know that summer was a good time to be outside, and that, surprise, surprise, in autumn, as things cool down, it sort of depends on climate. There are upticks, so we'll have to see.
Yeah, will they go in? Will they go indoors at Great Barrington? Will they go indoors in the Berkshires? I'm going outdoors for my first show. Let's see, I'm June 17th. I do my first show in Los Angeles. It's in Hollywood. It's in the parking lot of the Fountain Theater, which is a very small theater, by the way. But I'm excited, Listen, I'll be watching real people doing a very well-respected play that came out of off Broadway, actually. So I'm going to be off Broadway at a parking lot in Hollywood.
Stage Right or Not with Michele Willens, produced in the studios of Robin Hood Radio, robinhoodradio.com.